888-7753-773. Let me go to California and talk to Shant. And I'd asked Shant to call back from yesterday. We didn't have time to finish this call. Shant, thank you for calling back. You're on the air.
Good morning, Jesse. Happy History Month. Thank you for taking my call.
Happy Man History Month. I appreciate it.
Hey, Jesse, I did have a question. So when I overcame and just kind of had a clear understanding of my kids are dealing with their own demons. They're in their mid-20s. And I've spoken to them, and I've already told them, look, you got to overcome by forgiving your parents. So all I've learned, I've tried to pass along to my kids, but they're not having it. And obviously their mom has turned them against me. I'm the bad guy. And they feel this, and they identify with her, so naturally I'm the bad guy. But so in talking to my kids, especially my son, he starts cursing, he starts acting out, he starts just getting very emotional, and I just don't want to have any part of that. And I know there's been callers that you've spoken to that have similar issues, but you've told them to, like, hey, step back, don't talk to the kids, let them be. When they're ready to overcome, then they'll come to you. Is that the same advice you'd give me?
How old are they?
They're 24 and 23. They're off to college.
And so why are you calling them kids?
They're not kids. I just see them as kids. You're right. They're not.
Because when you say kids, it gives the impression that they're young kids living at home with you.
Oh, yeah. No, they're not. No.
And so now that they're a grown adult and you've told them about the way to overcome and
Yes.
you've apologized to them for your weakness and what the mother have done to them, why not just leave them alone and let them suffer?
No, that's fine. I just wanted to know if that's the right step to take.
No. What other choice do you have?
I don't. There is no other choice. Absolutely. But the thing of it is, too, Jesse, my son reached out to me through text a couple of days ago. He tries to get an emotional reaction because that's the only way he knows how to communicate. But I just kind of let it be. I didn't respond.
And what do you mean he tried to get an emotional reaction?
So he sends me a picture of myself and my father when I was younger. He's like, oh, you look like your dad. Like he's trying to get a response that way, trying to get an emotional rise.
And, you mean like in a good way or a bad way?
Oh, in a good way.
Oh, so you have a problem with that?
I don't have a problem with that. It's just that, like, I just want to let it be, not to respond, because I already know the outcome, because I went through this before with him. I gave him several opportunities to just get over his issues, but it never ends up to be that way. It always ends up for him.
And let me ask, you said you talked to your son, your kid, your adult kids about forgiving and you and their mother and all that. What is it about you that don't know that they're grown now and you just need to let them go and live their own life and find their way? Why don't you know that?
And the reason I don't know that is because I don't want to abandon them.
Abandon who?
My kids.
How they're not your kids. How are you going to abandon adults? I don't understand.
No, you're right.
No, that was a question.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know why I think that way, because I guess my father wasn't around, so maybe that could be part of it.
But these are grown people. How are you going to abandon grown? It's not like you're talking about little kids that are still home. How is it possible to abandon adults?
It's not. You're right.
No, that was a question.
I don't know.
And so why do you think that and say that?
I don't anymore, I guess, in hearing you tell me, hey, they're adults, they're not kids, so I guess.
But you don't already know that they're adults?
I do.
And you don't
realizing...
Realizing what?
Go ahead. I just realized that in the moment of having this discussion with you that they are adults.
But before now, you didn't know they were adults.
I did know that. I don't know, Jesse. I just wanted my kids to be a part of my life.
Why?
So, I don't know. The companionship, I guess, the father, son, daughter thing. I don't know.
You need companionship?
I don't need it. No.
You said you want your kids to be a part of your life for companionship.
Yeah, because, when I hear you saying, hey,
companionship?
Father, no, I guess just the fact that I hear you say, fathers love their kids,
but you said,
naturally. Yeah.
But if you love them, you let them go, and they're not kids, they're adults.
Yeah. I don't know why I think like that, Jesse.
So you need companionship from your adult kids?
I don't. Not really.
You
no.
said that. You do.
I know. You're right. I did say that. But in thinking
so
about
either
it,
you do or you don't. Which one is it?
I don't.
So why did you say you did?
I don't know.
What the? Hold on a minute. Hold on a minute.
Sure.
Yeah, Sean out of California. And I'm a little confused about his issues. So, Sean, you and your wife have 2 adult children who are grown and gone away from home, right?
Yeah, it's from my previous marriage.
From your previous marriage?
Yes.
Oh, are you married now?
I am now, yes.
Why?
I was in my fallen state, so.
And so
that's why.
Oh. Yeah. And so you have children with this woman?
I don't, no.
Does she have children?
No, she doesn't.
And are you allowed does this woman prevent your adult children from coming around you?
No, not at all.
Oh, okay. So you can see them and talk to them whenever you want to?
Of course. Yes, absolutely.
And so your issue is what?
My issue is that my son that acts the way he acts, that he apologizes, then I'm like, okay, no problem. Then we start talking, then he starts with his antics as far as he gets emotional, he starts, you did this, you didn't do that, you're a deadbeat dad, and he just goes on just saying stuff, and I'm like, hey, this is uncalled for, we've already discussed it. Yeah. Exactly.
And so, did you raise them?
I did. When I was married, I did. Yes, I raised them up to 13, 14, I think it was.
Oh, so you and your wife divorced when they were around 13, 14?
Yes, exactly.
And did you remarry after that? Right after that?
I did, yes. Yes, not right away.
So what now?
Go ahead. I was just going to say not right away, probably about 2 years later.
And were the kids jealous of this woman in your life?
They didn't say it directly, but I'm sure they were.
Yeah. And so your question for me is what?
So, well, if my son reaches out again and says, hey, look, Dad, I'm sorry, I made a mistake. What do I do? Because this is just a repeat. It's just always repeating itself, this cycle.
Well, number one, don't be angry at him. Don't be angry, period. And because you got to understand that you were not there and you left him with his mother and he is angry. Not only has the anger of his mother, but he's angry at you for not being there for him, right? And so whenever he act that way, don't you overreact at all. If you want to have a civil conversation, you have it with him. If you get mad about something and want to hang up and act weird, let him hang up. But don't you react to him at all. If he sends you pictures of you and your father, you're like, oh, thank you, son. Oh, this is nice. Absolutely. And if he said, well, you weren't there for me, you were right, son. I was not there. You got to be patient with him.
Oh, okay. Got you. Perfect. Okay. So it's not just to let him suffer in his hell. When he does reach out like that, I do respond.
But he is suffering in hell. You just have to not react to him.
Yeah. And I'll be honest with you, every time he does act like that, I just don't react. I don't respond. I don't get upset because I understand. I really do.
Yeah. But
So
and you be totally patient, and maybe one day he'll overcome it. Maybe he will, and maybe not. And how about your
okay.
daughter? Do you get along with her?
Well, I did. For some reason, she just stopped talking to me because I was giving her the message as far as her going to school. I was like, you have to forgive your mom. I don't want you to end up like her. Because she's not into that nuclear family as far as getting married, having kids. She doesn't want that, and I'm trying to talk some sense into her
What kind of
and tell her,
sense?
look, as far as that's not the way. Your education shouldn't be the only thing you're focused on. You need to have a family. You need to stay at home. You're not born to be a leader. That's not your position. That's not your role.
And why does she need a family?
Because that's what I thought was the right thing for her to do. Is to.
But why did you think that it didn't work for you?
Yeah, that's true. I didn't think of it that way.
And why are you thinking in the way that you're thinking? Telling her that.
Because I thought that was the right approach for her. I didn't think going to college and getting an education and being brainwashed and she already is brainwashed. She's an extreme liberal and she's a feminist and all that. And I'm just trying to get her out of that mindset. I guess that's what I was trying to do.
But you can't get her out. She's a grown woman now. It's already embedded in her. You just have to be an example. It's nice that you warned her about it, told her about it, but you got to leave her alone and let her figure it out herself.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing. Yeah. So she stopped talking to me, and I try to reach out to her and like, hey, let's talk about it, whatever's on your mind. But yeah, so she's not having it. I'm like, that's fine.
And when you talk to her, don't preach at her. Be honest with her, but don't preach at her.
Okay. Yeah, no, that's perfectly fine. Yeah, and again, I'm doing the silent prayer. I'm trying to, overcome to be a better example for them.
Well, you don't want to be a better example for them. You want to be right because you want to be right.
Of course, that's priority, definitely.
Your does your now wife, does she obey you?
She does obey me. Yeah, she doesn't. Yeah, so here's the thing, Jesse. She started doing the silent prayer at work. She does it in her car. At home, when I do it on the couch, she does it.
So she's working on herself.
Well, yeah, but she doesn't. She loves her parents. She says she had an amazing childhood.
Has she forgiven them?
That's the thing, and I'm trying to get her to understand. I think by doing the silent prayer, do you think she'll realize that?
Has she forgiven them?
No, she hasn't. No, because she feels that they're amazing. She had an amazing childhood. They're just great parents, and so on and so forth.
Oh.
She's not seeing it yet.
Right. Well, let her suffer until she sees it.
Yeah, right. So you think the silent prayer will help her to see that?
If she wants to see, yeah.
Oh, okay. But if not, then she's going to be stuck.
Right.
Yeah.
Because every human being, not one, but every human being that if they want to be free of anger and hatred and insecurity, they got to forgive their mothers and their father, return to their fathers. But they must forgive their mothers because they have the nature of their mothers. And Satan is telling them, oh, your mother was so good. Your mother was perfect. And it's not true. All mothers turn the children against the fathers.
Right. I completely agree with that. And that's the reason I forgave my mom. And my dad has passed, but I've forgiven him in my heart because he didn't. I really do realize he didn't know any better.
What did your mother say when you dealt with her?
She says okay. She didn't really overreact or anything. She said okay.
All right.
Yeah, because, she was at work. So as soon as I understood that when I was watching your show, I was like, oh, my God, this is what I have to do.
Yeah.
So I called her right away because I wasn't talking to her for a long time. So I called her and I said, hey, Mom, I understand you couldn't help yourself. I forgive you. I'm sorry. No, not I forgive you. I apologize for resenting you. I know you couldn't help yourself. The same thing happened to you. And she's like, oh, okay. She didn't really say anything.
Yeah.
But the thing I also wanted to ask when you mentioned regarding mothers is my mother-in-law with my current wife. I'm trying to keep my wife away from her family, just to do our own thing, not to interact so much, and just to kind of do our own thing, not to get involved. And is that something I should be doing, or it's okay to be around them once in a while? What would be your advice with that?
And so, why are you trying to keep her away?
No, not keep her away, but just to kind of keep our distance.
She communicate with her mother every day?
No, she doesn't communicate with her every day. Probably, I don't know, a couple of times a week maybe.
And you tell her that's too much?
I haven't told her that too much. She doesn't. She has a reasonable boundary with her. She doesn't really go over all that much at all, maybe over the phone. Or she picks up her nephew and drops him off.
And your wife picks up her nephew?
I'm sorry?
You say your wife pick up her nephew?
Yes, from school, occasionally.
Oh.
Not all the time, yeah.
And so when you tell your wife that's too much mama visiting, does she obey you and stop doing it?
I haven't really told her that because I don't think it's excessive at all. It's not all the time.
So then why are you asking about it then?
Well, I'm saying for me personally, I don't want to go because the mother-in-law is constantly asking, hey, when are you going to come by? I said, one of these days. I don't really feel the need to go over and just be over there.
Right.
I don't,
And so, are you asking because you want your wife to stop so much, or you want? I don't understand.
Well, my question is, in not going over at all, just kind of keeping my distance. Is that the right move, or I'm overthinking it?
Yeah, it sounds like you are. You do what you want to do. If you want to go over, go over. If you don't want to go over, don't go over. Don't be mad. That's all.
Okay,
and you can't determine. You have to take it one day at a time.
That's very true. I'll be doing that. And the other thing too is I'm not trying to please my wife at all. When she talks about vacations and she talks about going here, and I go, I'm not interested in going on vacations. If you want to go on vacations, you can go on vacation with your friend. But we're not doing it because I'm not really interested in pleasing her in that way. So, I mean, is that the right step to take?
Well, what I want to encourage you to do is you need to start living in the present so you can see what's the right. You can't determine ahead of time the right thing to do. You have to live in the present so you can see the right thing to do. You can't plan your life out. You have to live your life. You can't plan the life.
Right. She asked me recently if she wanted to go on a vacation. I said, no, I really am not interested. And she's like, okay, well, can I go with my friends? I'm going to go with my friend. I said, yeah, you can go, but I'm not going.
And so are you doubting your decision?
No, I'm not. I just wanted to, I think it's the right thing, the right move I've made.
Okay.
But I just wanted to confirm it with you.
Well, you need to see the right thing to do because I don't know how your wife is. I don't know how you are around her. And you need to stay present so you can see the right thing, all right?
Okay, I will. Thank you, Jesse.
You're
Happy
welcome.
Men's History Month.
You too. Thank you. Amazing.